Oh yeah, I hear this every Saturday at my yoga class.
Yep, yep. Um, how do you feel about getting started? Do you wanna
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
That'd be fun.
All right, great. So hi, my name is Kelly. I, along with Desiree, run the Philly Herb Hub, and the Philly Herb Hub is a free community apothecary for Black folks in Philly. It right now lives on a website, phillyherbhub.com. And we've just recently started expanding more of our educational resources. So we on the website right now, we have some books and PDFs that are references, but we are really excited to have some classes being taught by local folks in Philly. So today we have Brittnye Webb-Earl to talk to us, and this will be recorded here today and will live on the website as part of our growing resource library. So we're just really happy to have you here. Thanks so much for being here, Brittnye.
I'm really excited to be here. Thanks. Um, so I'm going to be talking about, excuse me, managing stress and anxiety with herbal medicine. I was just telling Kelly and Desiree that I'm personally like going through a lot of stress myself. So this class was like this whole thing was kind of cool to do because I had the chance to, learn some things myself and like really delve into it. So we start with like how do stress and anxiety like affect the body and mind, right? So stress, according to the psychologist Russ Newman, stress in America continues to escalate and it's affecting every aspect of people's lives, from work to personal relationships to sleep patterns and eating habits, as well as their health, which is very true. Everyone I know is stressed out. I'm sure like every one of you has like your own stresses going on. Like at some point we all do. Um, Goes on to say, we know that stress is a fact of life and some stress can have a positive impact. However, the high stress levels that many Americans report experiencing can have long-term health consequences ranging from fatigue to obesity and heart disease. According to the American Psychological Association, people under stress experience mental and physical symptoms such as irritability, anger, fatigue, muscle pain, digestive troubles, and difficulty sleeping. And stress sets off a cascade of physical responses that affect immune function, our hormones, our cognitive function system, and our internal clock called our circadian rhythm. And if these stressors persist, this will lead to chronic illness. So like statistically speaking, they say that 28% of Americans say that they're managing their stress like really well, right? But 77% of people report experiencing physical symptoms and psychological symptoms. 73% are related to stress just in the last month alone. I think that like given the social climate, given the environmental climate, given all of these like different things occurring at one time, I think everyone is very stressed out or uneasy or anxious, and all of these things are just happening at one time to everyone. So it's a collective stress, I believe. But the physical symptoms of stress include fatigue, like is the top with 51%, all the way down like headaches are 44%, upset stomach is 34%. It goes on to say the change in appetite, 23%, grinding your teeth, 17% of people do that. 15% of people report a change in their sex drive, and 13% report feeling dizzy. Psychological symptoms of the stress include that 50% of people experience irritability or anger. 45% of people feel nervous, 45% of people feel a lack of energy, and 35% of people feel as though they could cry at any given moment. On top of that, 48% of Americans report lying awake at night due to stress. So a lot of times stress and anxiety, we use them in the same sentence, but they're not the same thing, right? So anxiety is defined by persistent, excessive worries that don't go away even in the absence of a stressor. 19% of the population has been diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, according to the National Allies for Mental Health. Anxiety also comes with a lot of symptoms. They can vary from person to person and are often dependent on the severity of their anxiety. People who struggle with chronic anxiety disorders can have more serious health problems associated with that. Let's see. During times of stress and anxiety, the body releases large amounts of hormones like cortisol and norepinephrine. Cortisol is nature's built-in alarm system. It's your body's main stress hormone. It works with certain parts of your brain to control your mood, motivation, and fear. Your adrenal glands, they're triangle-shaped organs that's at the top of your kidneys. They're the ones that make cortisol. Cortisol plays an important role for a number of things in the body. It manages how your body uses carbs, fats, and proteins. It keeps inflammation down. It regulates your blood pressure. It increases your blood sugar, controls your sleep and wake cycle. It boosts energy so that you can handle stress, and it restores balance afterwards. So your hypothalamus and pituitary gland, they're both located in your brain. They sense if your blood contains the right level of cortisol, and if the level is too low, your brain adjusts the amount of hormones that it makes. Your adrenal glands pick up on these signals, and then they fine-tune the amount of cortisol that they release. But prolonged and frequent release of these hormones can lead to severe health problems if left untreated. So things like heart problems, you can have an increased risk of heart disease, various illnesses from a lowered immune system. You can have gastrointestinal disorders, including irritable bowel syndrome, memory problems, or frequent migraines. Along with cortisol, norepinephrine is the major contributor to how our bodies respond to stress on a chemical level. Norepinephrine is a naturally occurring chemical in the body that acts as both a stress hormone and a neurotransmitter, which is a substance that sends signals between nerve cells. It's released into the blood as a stress hormone when the brain perceives that a stressful event has occurred. As a neurotransmitter in the central nervous system, norepinephrine increases alertness and arousal and speeds reaction time. And norepinephrine has been shown to play a role in a person's mood and their ability to concentrate. Stress can derail your body's most important functions. It can also lead to a number of health problems like anxiety and depression, headaches, heart disease, memory and concentration problems, problems with digestion, trouble sleeping, weight gain. Generalized anxiety disorder is actually the most common type of anxiety disorder. And the main symptom of it is excessive worry about different activities and events, and you will feel anxious a lot of the time if you have that. Thankfully, there are a lot of different herbs that can help everyone manage this and a lot of other things. So we're going to talk about what type of herbs help manage stress and anxiety. Nervines. So nervines are like my favorite way personally to handle stress and anxiety. Like they just do the trick for me every time. I use a variety of them. I'm going to talk about like my favorites here today. That a nervine is a plant remedy that has a beneficial effect upon the nervous system in some way. Types of herbs intended to nourish and support the central nervous system. They restore balance and restfulness in the body. Nervine tonics can help restore a depleted, stressed, or anxious nervous system. In my opinion, to study them properly, they should be differentiated into categories. So there's nervine relaxants, there's nervine stimulants, nervine tonics. So nervine tonics are probably the most important contribution herbal medicine can make in the whole area of stress and anxiety, in my opinion, and in strengthening and feeding the nervous system. In cases of nervous debility, the nervine tonics strengthen and restore the tissues directly. Adaptogens should also be considered in this group due to their ability to aid the whole of the body and the mind to cope with the demands made upon it. Nervine relaxants are a group that has become increasingly important in our times of stress and tension. They are the closest natural alternative for the orthodox nerve tranquilizers, but should always be used in a broad, holistic way. Too much tranquilizing that achieved through herbal and medication can in time deplete and weigh heavily on the whole nervous system. Then there's nervine stimulants. They can cause a direct stimulation of the nervous system, and they're not very often needed in our times of like hyperactivity, right? In most cases, it's more appropriate to stimulate the body's innate vitality with the help of adaptogens, nervine, or even digestive tonics, which work by augmenting bodily harmony and thus have a much deeper and longer lasting effects. Adaptogens, they often affect hormones in the body and not necessarily the central nervous system. Adaptogens kind of help your body adapt to life's like doozies. These herbs aid our bodies in reacting to or recovering from both short and long-term physical and mental stress. Adaptogens help us stay in the resistance phase longer. So via a stimulating effect that holds off the exhaustion instead of crashing in the midst of a stressful moment, task, or event, we attain equilibrium and we can soldier on. I think of adaptogens as like the overall like they're just really great wellness herbs. Like they're great to like maintain wellness. That's what I think of. Adaptogens work at a molecular level by regulating a stable balance in the hypothalamic, pituitary, and adrenal glands. These are involved in the stress response, and they work by hacking the stress response in the body. These are my top 5 favorite nervine herbs, like, and they're not in really any order. They're just like my favorites. So first off, we have gold straw. It's a popular grain that's been eaten for at least 3,000 years. Although it's one of the main uses for the plant, there's various uses like the young seed and the oat straw. They're nutritive and they have nervine qualities. It's a grass with erect stems and long blade-like leaves. The flowers consist of inconspicuous spikelets, and each flower contains 3 stamens and a feathery stigma. It descended from a cross between wheat and barley, and it spread as weed from the Fertile Crescent to Europe, and it was believed to be domesticated around 3,000 years ago around the Tigris and Euphrates. It's traditionally used as a mild relaxant and a sleep aid, and it does carry a very high nutritional value, a value that shouldn't be overlooked. It's rich in calcium, potassium, iron, vitamin A, vitamin C, dietary fiber, and antioxidants. It fights oxidative stress and offsets its harmful effects. It appears to be particularly beneficial for the brain, sexual function, and bone health. These benefits are due to its high content of B-complex vitamins and calcium. And in addition to the B-complex vitamins, oat straw tea is high in minerals like iron, phosphorus, magnesium, and selenium. It also contains amino acids like tryptophan, lysine, and leucine. Next up, we have lavender. The word lavender comes from the Latin root lavare, which literally means to wash. The earliest record use of lavender dates back to ancient Egypt. There, lavender oil played a role in the mummification process, which I think is really cool. During later times, lavender became a bath additive in several regions, such as Persia, Greece, and Rome. These cultures believed that lavender helped purify the body and the mind. Lavender, interestingly enough, it shares a terpene called linalool with cannabis. It's largely responsible for the antidepressant, muscle relaxing, mood lifting, antioxidant properties of lavender. While some plants can work to bring you up out of the darkness and above normal, lavender is more like a regulating, neutral kind of balance. Um, it's known as the plant for peace, so because of its balancing effect. It's an effective herb for headaches, especially when they're related to stress. It can be quite effective in the clearing of depression, especially if used in conjunction with other remedies. Um, as a gentle strengthening tonic of the nervous system, it may be helpful for nervous stability and exhaustion, and it can be used to soothe and promote natural sleep. For my kids, I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and what I like to do sometimes is I'll put lavender and eucalyptus if they're like feeling a little stuffy and can't really sleep. I'll put it in a humidifier, and it just like calms them down a whole lot. Sometimes I'll put like lavender oil in their bath, and it works wonders. Definitely helps them fall asleep. Next up is chamomile. Chamomile has been used as an herbal remedy since the time of Hippocrates, the father of medicine in 500 BC. The list of conditions for which it's been used is extensive. It includes fever, headaches, digestive upset, anxiety, insomnia, inflammation, and menstrual disorders. The generic name, Matricaria, comes from the Latin matrix, meaning womb, because chamomile was used historically to treat disorders of the female reproductive system. There's 2 types of chamomile, Roman and German. Of the 2, the German variety is known to be more potent and is more widely known medicinally. When I first started learning about herbs, I didn't know that there was 2 types of chamomile, and I went into the herb store and I saw that there was like 2 different prices, and I was really confused, and I had to have someone explain it to me. So yeah, fun fact. Chamomile has both sedative and anti-anxiety effects. One study reported that apigenin, a component of chamomile, binds at the same receptor sites in the brain as benzodiazepines. Sorry, guys, I'm trying. Like Valium. Chamomile extract in 2009. A study done on chamomile extract in 2009 found that it has a modest anti-anxiety effect in people with mild to moderate general anxiety disorder, which, like I said, is one of the most common anxiety disorders. And in addition to soothing anxiety, research also shows that chamomile extracts may also have antidepressant effects as well. Then we have lemon balm. Lemon balm is a plant that's like near and dear to my heart because it's actually how I started my business. So my daughter, when she was a baby, I found out that she was allergic to mosquitoes. Like she would get these giant bruised looking things all over her, it was crazy. And I just didn't want to spray her with bug spray. I was like so against it. And so what I did was I looked up what plants I could plant around our wrapped in porch. And that I did that. And from there, I was able to, I started my business. From there, I learned about all these different things that were happening in plants. And I, that, sorry guys, yeah, so my daughter was allergic to mosquitoes and I started planting plants. I planted lemon balm, and then I learned about all these different things that you could do with plant. And from there, I began to try to like see who would like it. And then a lot of people liked it, and I started selling lemon balm oil because it ended up being like a pain reliever for people. And from there, it just kind of grew, and my love for herbalism grew, and all of that. So I love lemon balm. Sorry for my spiel. But so lemon balm is a lemon-scented herb that comes from the same family as mint. The herb is native to Europe, North Africa, and West Asia, but it's grown around the world. A member of the mint family is considered a calming herb. and it was used as far back as the Middle Ages to reduce stress and anxiety and promote sleep. It improves the appetite and eases pain. Like I said, that's what people were reporting the lemon balm oil for. They said that it helped them a lot with their pain. Lemon balm is often combined with other calming, soothing herbs such as valerian, chamomile, and hops to promote relaxation. Um, I make a tea that has lemon balm, uh, lavender, valerian, and a couple other things. It's a really like pleasant blend um, to relax you. Several studies show that lemon balm combined with other calming herbs like valerian, hops, and chamomile help reduce anxiety and promote sleep. Then there's skull cap. Last but not least, there's so many different really cool herbs that you can like use. There's a lot. We can talk about it after if anyone wants to. Um, so skullcap is the common name for Scutellaria, a genus of flowering plants in the mint family. This name is derived from the Latin word scutella, which means little dish, as the small flowers of these plants have a dish or helmet-like shape. Just so everyone knows, skull caps not to be confused with death caps because they are a highly poisonous mushroom. And please don't confuse American or Chinese skull cap with Bacal skull cap because they're not the same plant. So um, it relaxes states of nervous tension while at the same time renewing and reviving the central nervous system. It's thought that American skullcap positively impacts your mood and reduces anxiety by stimulating gamma aminobutyric acid, which is GABA, a neurotransmitter that helps calm your nerves. This plant was used in traditional medicine practices as a sedative and a treatment for conditions like insomnia and anxiety. Scutellaria can be used long-term for nervous tension with an underlying condition of nervous exhaustion. My fiance, he quit smoking last year, and I made him an herbal blend for him to smoke to help him quit. And in it was skullcap because I realized that a lot of people's issue with like stopping smoking is rooted in anxiety. Like, you're smoking, you're anxious type of thing. And so that was really beneficial for him. It had a lot of other things in it too, but skullcap was definitely one. Skullcap is an herb that has multiple nervine actions. It helps reduce muscle tension. It helps calm worried thoughts and also nourishes the nervous system. So, like I said, it was beneficial for him. Skullcap is really great also as tea. That's how I really enjoy it. Like it's fun. Like it's like that sometimes. Even like mint. I actually enjoy skullcap. So next we're gonna talk about herbal interactions, just because like to me you have to be really like not cautious but very aware with herbs because like people sometimes have the I don't know, the misperception maybe that um, herbs are just like, oh, they're just plants. But if you have certain things going on with you, then you could potentially injure yourself or anyone else. And that's really the last thing that I'm sure anyone wants to do. So I don't really want to talk about herbs if we're not going to talk about like what could potentially happen if, you don't know all the necessary things. So an herbal drug interaction is defined as any pharmacological modification caused by herbal substances to another prescription medication, diagnostic, therapeutic, or other action of the drug or in or on the body. Herbal interactions occur when pharmaceutical drugs that are treating certain medical conditions are mixed with herbal medicine. Important interactions between an herbal supplement and a drug typically manifest as a pharmacokinetic interaction, which affect a drug's concentration in the blood and pharmacological action. A risk of a pharmacokinetic interaction occurs when an herbal supplement shares the same mechanism of absorption, distribution, metabolism, or excretion as a co-administered drug. Less commonly, herb-drug interactions may manifest as a pharmacodynamic interaction, which involve direct pharmacological actions of an herbal supplement that are unrelated to changes in blood concentrations. Pharmacodynamic interactions occur when an herbal supplement has a direct effect on the mechanism of action of a co-administered drug. Direct pharmacological effects of an herbal supplement may antagonize or exacerbate the drug's clinical effects without changing the drug's concentration. There are a number of herbs that cannot be combined with prescription medications and should be avoided. There are also some herbal medicines that cannot be taken while pregnant, breastfeeding, and or due to allergic reactions. So it's important to be mindful of these interactions prior to consuming herbs and or especially when recommending them to other people. So with oat straw, there's none that have been reported, but it's advised that those with allergies or gluten sensitivity should avoid using it. These are just the herbs that I went over. So if, obviously if you're going to use herbs, you should always look into it, especially if you may have underlying health conditions or anything like that. Or if you want to talk to your primary care doctor or whoever prior to using them, then you probably should. Lavender, sedative medications, the CNS depressants, they interact with lavender. It can cause sleepiness and slow down breathing, and taking lavender with that it might cause breathing problems and or too much sleepiness. So it's something that you definitely want to be aware of. There are actually 53 herbal interactions with chamomile, and I actually did not know that until I looked it up. I honestly didn't know that I knew that there were a few. I didn't know, like I said, that there were 53. One is considered to be moderate, while the others are considered to be mild, according to drugs.com. It could interact with sedatives, blood thinners, antiplatelet drugs, aspirin, NSAID painkillers like ibuprofen and naproxen, and other drugs. Lemon balm may interact with sedatives and or thyroid medications. So if you're taking sedatives for insomnia or anxiety or medications to regulate your thyroid, then you definitely will want to talk to your doctor before taking lemon balm. Or if there's someone that you know that you want to recommend that to, definitely make sure you put that out there if you do that. Skullcap can increase the effect of drugs that has sedating effects. So, there's a list here, that it could affect. So, barbiturates, Dilaudid, Xanax, Valium, drugs that can treat insomnia, such as Ambien or Lunesta, tricyclic antidepressants, alcohol, even drugs for diabetes. Chinese skullcap can lower your blood sugar, and it could make the effects of the drugs taken for diabetes stronger, leading to the risk of hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar, which is not something that you want to do. Myself, I have low blood pressure, so I always have to be mindful if I'm doing something with herbs that I make sure that it's not going to affect my blood pressure, because while it would be great for someone with high blood pressure, my blood pressure will drop and I'll get dizzy and then I'll faint. And that's not good for anyone. So it's like I said, knowing the interactions is definitely something to be mindful of. So next up is herbal concoctions, right? So there's a lot of not a lot, but there are a couple different ways to, I could say, activate the herbs, I guess, prepare them. So first, we're going to talk about the difference between herbal tea versus herbal infusions, right? So herbal tea is made by taking a small amount of herbal or plant matter and steeping it in water for a short amount of time, typically between 5 and 15 minutes, somewhere around there. Everyone's made a cup of tea, but it's a plain old cup of tea before. It's nothing too fancy. Meanwhile, herbal infusions, on the other hand, are made by taking a larger amount of plant matter and steeping it in water overnight. So typically between 10 and 12 hours, give or take. Uh, Herbal infusions are typically more beneficial due to the amount of time that the herbs have been steeped. Soaking them overnight allows all of the vitamins and minerals to be absorbed into the water prior to drinking it. Um, So when my kids or any of us in our house, when any of us get sick, I make a big infusion in a pitcher of a bunch of immune supportive herbs. I make a tea and I let it steep overnight, and then we just drink off of it, and it really helps. No one really stays sick in here for like longer than like 2 or 3 days, thankfully. Um, yeah. So there are nervine tinctures, right? So tinctures in general, that you can make them for all sorts of things, but these specifically are for the nervine herbs that I was talking about earlier. It's like I said, like nervine herbs, to me, they work best for me, so that's what I wanted to talk about. Adaptogens are also really great. Um, I would, like I said, I think that they're more for wellness. So like I think that obviously like you can make both and you can definitely use both and they're both beneficial, but we're just talking about this today. So herbal tinctures, also known as hydroethanolic extractions, are the alcoholic extract of a plant. Tinctures are off Tinctures offer an easy to use and fast acting form of herbal medicine that allows us to extract both the water soluble and alcohol soluble constitute from plants for a strong, well-rounded medicine. Tinctures are made by taking one or more herbs and immersing them in an alcoholic substance, specifically a grain alcohol like vodka. Upon submerging the herbs in the liquid, it's then covered tightly and stored in a dark, cool place for 6 weeks. And you want to shake it every day. And if not every day, you just want to shake it as often as you can. Not all tinctures have an alcoholic base, and the most common non-alcoholic liquid used in tinctures is apple cider vinegar. I I personally, I can't stand the smell of apple cider vinegar, so I kind of struggle with that a little bit. But um, yeah, it's definitely an option for anyone who can't have alcohol or anything like that. You can definitely make tinctures that way. For fresh herbs, you use a 1-to-1 plant to alcohol ratio, and for dried herbs, you would use a 1-to-4 plant to alcohol ratio. And the concentration of alcohol would depend on the plant's water-soluble ingredients, and those with more water-soluble components need alcohol with a proof 80 to 100, while those with uh, fewer water-soluble components need 180 proof alcohol. After opening the jar, you would strain the plant parts from the liquid, and then you would funnel it into a dark colored tincture bottle. Tincture bottles are the ones that have the droppers. This is just a cool anxiety tincture that I think works really well. You've got chamomile, lemon balm, holy basil, cinnamon, and vodka. And then you simply just blend all of the herbs and transfer them into a glass jar. You would add the vodka to the herbs and you would seal the jar tightly. Place the jar in a cool, dark space for 6 weeks. Like I said, you shake it every day, and if not every day, whenever you remember, get the chance, all those good things. After 6 weeks, you remove the jar and strain the herbs using a cheese or a nut cloth. Then you would funnel that liquid into the tincture jars, and it's safe enough to consume daily. But you wouldn't use more than 2 dropperfuls at a time. And we talked about chamomile and benefits of how it can help anxiety as well as lemon balm. Holy basil is another great herb that definitely will help as well as cinnamon. Um, so yeah, that's a cool one. And this is a really nice herbal infusion recipe. I use skullcap, lemon balm, and lavender. I think I said that a little while ago actually. Um, it's you can blend all the herbs together in a tea bag. I usually use two just to make it really strong, so I have a pretty big pitcher. Um, you will boil a large pot of water. You don't always have to boil it. You can use cool water if you choose to. I like to use the hot water and just let it. So I like get my pitcher and I boil the tea in there. I add water, top, um, you would add the herbs to the large mason jar or pitcher or whatever you have. Submerge all of the herbs into the water, allow the herbs to sit overnight. Then you would remove the herbs from the liquid, and then you can add honey or whatever it is that you choose to drink it with and enjoy. Um, that is just a really simple and easy kind of way. And it's nice because now that the weather is getting nice, lavender to me is really pleasant in like the spring, along with lemon balm. It's just a really pleasant kind of spring and summer way to handle stress, anxiety, and just kind of bring all around wellness to your day. Um, but yeah, that is actually all that I have for you guys. I know it's like from 1 to 2 o'clock, but I kind of got through that faster than I thought I was going to. Um, these are different herbs that are really good for anxiety. Not all of them I talked about today, but you've got kava kava, there's damiana, poppy, motherwort, skullcap, hops, lavender, verbena, uh, reishi mushrooms, oat, uh, Siberian ginseng. You know, like there's a lot of them. So, like I said, like it is not just the five that I talked about here at all. Um, then there's a lot of great resources that you can actually check that out. I actually have a list of all of the resources I use to put this together. So if anyone is interested, I'm happy to like email it or send it over to whoever. Um, but yeah, does anyone like have any questions for me or I guess that's kind of where I'm at now because I don't really have that was it. um, well, yeah, thank you, Kelly and Desiree, for letting me present this. Um, yeah, it's really, really cool. I'm glad I got to share that with you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Thank you.
That's no problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was just like so, I learned so much. That was packed. That was really packed. Really super appreciate it. So
That's no problem.
yeah, I'm really excited to have this resource live on the Herb Hub website because I feel like I'm already like, oh, I can go back and watch that all again.
Yay, I'm glad.
Really good. So it was awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks so much for having me and letting me do this. It was really fun.
Yeah. And thanks to everybody who's here.
Yes, thank you guys for
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm gonna stop the recording here unless anyone has any last questions.